Hello, good morning, students, and welcome to Indian Economy Unit First for fifth semester class. And this class is conducted by Pratap Hegde, and this is my fifth class. So let's run a 2 minutes review on the previous class that we have done. That we have discussed about the characteristics of Indian economy, what Indian economy means, and how India is characterized as an developing economy, how India has developed over the years, how India's factors or India's aspects have improved, how India's GDP per capita income and other infrastructure facilities have improved and increased over the recent past years. Today, we are going to cover the topic about economic development and economic reforms. How economic development is associated with economic reforms that were adopted by our government in the year 1991. So you all know economic reforms were implemented or adopted by our government in the year 1991. So what were the things that led to the implementation of new economic policy, or generally called as economic reforms? You know, there has to be some flaw, or there has to be a mistake, or there has to be something wrong with the old policies that surely would have been led to the adoption of new economic reforms or the new economic policy. So new economic policy will be shortly called NEP. That's the long form for new economic policy, or generally called as economic reforms. So let us study a brief history or the reason behind the implementation of NEP in the year 1991. The then finance minister, Shri Manmohan Singh, that is the former prime minister of our country, played an important and vital role in the implementation of this new economic policy. So basically, new economic policy consists of various policy measures and various policy changes that we are experiencing in today's economy. So new economic policy means not only a single policy, it constitutes about the changes or the reforms made in various factors or various sectors of our economy. So what led to the implementation or the adoption of new economic policy? What is the reason behind the implementation of new economic policy? There are various reasons or various factors that led to the adoption of new economic policy. One of them were the various investment burden which was taken by the government of India in order to improve the infrastructure of our country. The first reason behind the implementation of new economic policy was the huge amount of investment which was spent on development of infrastructure facilities in our country by our government, which led to a lot of shortage in the fiscal deficit, a lot of shortage in the government's revenue, which led our government to the verge or the state of being bankrupt. You understand bankrupt? That is a very shortage or a chronic shortage of money. So that's called as bankrupt. So various or huge amount of investment done by our government uh, between the year 1970 to 1990 in order to improve the infrastructure facility of our country by our government led to being uh, taken to the verge of being bankrupt. So in order to fill this deficit, in order to fill this shortage of amount, in order to start the inflow of the money inside our economy, governments had to make major policy changes, major reforms in our economic activities, in our economic policies that led to the implementation of new economic policy in the year 1991. So you understand what infrastructure means, don't you? Infrastructure is the supporting character or the pillars of the development of an economy. So without proper infrastructure facilities, no economy can achieve greater heights. No economy can improve. So basically infrastructure is divided into two factors, that is, one is social infrastructure and another one is economic infrastructure. Infrastructure is divided into two, that is social infrastructure and another one is economic infrastructure. Now, what do you mean by social infrastructure? Social infrastructure is the facilities which help in the improvement or the betterment of the society. So social infrastructures improve the condition of the society. What are the social infrastructures? That is health facilities, education facilities, proper sanitization facilities, and proper drinking water facilities. So all these facilities are characterized under or categorized under social infrastructure. Then coming to the economic infrastructure, then economic infrastructure means the infrastructure facilities that help in the direct improvement in the flow or generation of the income. Economic infrastructure helps in generating income. These infrastructure facilities help in creating income or producing goods and services. Understood? I hope you understood the difference between social infrastructure and economic infrastructure. Social infrastructure means the infrastructure facilities which help in the betterment of the society, which helps in the improvement of the society. And economic infrastructure refers to the infrastructure facilities which help in generating income or which helps in earning income or which helps in improving the production capacity of the country. So economic infrastructure means roads, railways, flights, that three come under transportation facilities. Then communication facilities. So electricity, supply of electricity is also considered as a basic economic infrastructure. So transportation, communication, and electricity supply, all these come under economic infrastructure because all these infrastructure facilities help in directly generating income or increasing productivity of the particular sector. So the government had spent majority of its income or majority of its share of GDP on developing infrastructure facilities before 1990, or we can say maybe between 1970 to 1990. So huge investments on the facilities which do not generate income in the short term. Don't get confused while I'm saying do not generate income, but I'm saying these investments do not generate short returns, do not get or do not return us returns in the short term. So all these infrastructure facilities or all these investments generate income in the longer term period, but not in the short term period, isn't it? So by improving health facility, by improving sanitization facility, by improving or providing good education facilities, these do not generally generate income in the short period. So government has to invest amount on education and health in order to get the indirect benefit in the long term. Therefore, the government's investment at that time period did not generate short-term income to the government. That's why government only invested money, government only used money, but it could not generate sufficient income to generate or to run the country efficiently. So the investment in infrastructure or a huge amount that was spent on non income generating works led to the bankruptcy stage. Then you may also have heard about the war between Pakistan and India and war between China and India. That was in the year 1965 and 1971. So in that short amount of period, India's government had participated in two wars, one with Pakistan and one with China. So you already know that uh, wars demand a lot of expenditure. Wars can cause a loss of damage to the wealth, health, and property, and also the peace of mind of the countries involved in war. So it does not bear, or the problem is not faced by only one country, but the problem will be faced by both the countries which are involved in war. So the war between Pakistan and China led to huge investment, a huge loss of property, huge loss of wealth, huge loss of income to our country, and that led to economic shortfall or economic deficit. It also led to fiscal deficit also. It also led to a shortage in the income generating activities. That's why government had to implement the new economic policy in 1991. And then government was also importing a lot of goods and services from other countries. So uh, government of India was dependent on other countries for a lot of goods and services. Although it had capacity, although it has enough labor power, enough raw materials to produce that goods, the government of India did not have the adequate technology. So government of India was dependent on many countries for the supply of majority of the goods and services in our country. So this dependence on other countries for import of goods and services led to outflow of our income. What happens when we import goods and services from other countries? We have to pay them, isn't it? So in order to get goods and services from other countries or maybe even other persons, we have to pay them in terms of the currency that they accept, and we have to purchase or buy that good or get that service from them, isn't it? So what happens when we purchase goods and services from America? Do we pay in rupees? Do they accept payment in rupees? No, isn't it? Because the currency that's running in America is US dollars. So if we have to purchase, if we need to get any service from that country, we have to pay in the amount of currency or in the form of currency that is accepted in US, that is US dollars. So every country has a reserve of foreign currencies. Every country has a reserve of foreign currencies that is used for purchasing of different goods and services. That is called as forex reserves, or in long form, foreign exchange reserves. Forex is the short of foreign exchange. Many of you have heard about reserve. You know the meaning of reserves? Reserves means the amount kept aside for emergencies, or the money or anything which is saved for later, or anything which is saved for emergency purposes. Only This reserve is used in terms of or in case of emergency situations only. You might have heard about reserve in bikes also. So there is a separate compartment for petrol in bike for reserve or emergency purposes, isn't it? So reserve means saved money or saved things which are meant for emergency purposes. So every country has a huge quantity or considerable amount of foreign currencies kept as reserves, kept as savings in order to purchase goods and services from foreign countries, because we have to pay in the terms of currency which is accepted or which is valid in that country, isn't it? So you have to pay to US in US dollars, you have to pay in euros in order to trade in any European country, you have to pay in pound sterling in order to trade with UK. So you have to pay in dinars in order to trade in Arabian countries, because these are the valid currencies which are accepted in these respective countries. So every country holds a reserve of foreign currencies, which is called as forex reserves, in order to main trade. So India's forex reserves was very much at a verge of becoming empty just before 1991, because India was dependent on foreign countries for the majority of the goods and services. Although it had the capacity to produce and generate these resources or generate these goods and services, India's technological development was not up to the top level, that led to dependence on imports by other countries, which led to increase in imports and decrease in exports. So what do exports generally do? Exports generate income. You know why? Because when we sell goods and services to other people or other countries, they pay us, isn't it? So when we export goods and services, we will be generating income. And when we import goods and services from other countries, we will be paying them. In other case, our income will be transferred to those countries. That is not a very good thing, isn't it? So India's foreign exchange reserves were becoming lesser day by day. Its saved amount or reserves were becoming smaller. The quantity was becoming lesser and lesser day by day. And there came a situation where it was not even enough for, or it was not even satisfying for 2 or 3 months. So India's foreign exchange was very short. So reserves were becoming empty day by day because of the import dependence on other countries. So all these various things led to the implementation of new economic policy. But implementation of any economic policy or any reform needs a lot of fund, needs a lot of major operations in the economy, needs a lot of impetus, needs a lot of investment to do in order to make these changes. So how did India manage to implement the new economic policy in 1991? Because India did not had enough money. India did not had enough funds to facilitate this implementation of new economic policy. Therefore, India had to go again asking for loans in front of various international monetary organizations like IMF and IBRD, which is also known as World Bank. So IBRD is also known as World Bank, and IBRD is the short form for International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and IMF is the short for International Monetary Fund. So these are the two major economic organizations or monetary organizations which supports or facilitates the monetary needs or the monetary demands of the developing countries or any other country which are members of these two organizations. So India had to take again a huge amount of loan from these institutions in order to implement the new economic policy. That's why, with the help of IMF and IBRD, India could implement the new economic policy. India could make major policy reforms, major policy changes, or major operations in the India's economy that led to the implementation of new economic policy. And we are going to be studying the major changes which were done in the name of new economic policy in the 1991 in the next class. Thank you. I will end the class